Joining me is New Hampshire Representative Karen Ebel. Karen, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
I want to talk to you about the budget, but I know you're on well, I call it the Capital Budget Committee, but it's the, what is the?
The technical term is the Public Works and Highways Committee.
Yeah, but you are the guys that really spend all the improvements.
Yes, that's right.
And I want to start there first and then kind of go to the budget. About how much money did we have in capital projects for the upcoming biennium?
For the upcoming biennium, what we've got in the House budget now is about $124.5 million, and actually that's almost exactly the amount that we appropriated on for the last biennium.
So it's essentially level funded.
Yeah.
The priorities must shift from biennium to biennium, and I guess so that's one sort of question. What are the major things in this budget? And the other question is, what didn't make the budget?
Well, just from a starting standpoint, I think there's a lot of confusion among some people about what the real difference is between the operating budget, which is what we hear an awful lot about in the press, and the capital budget, which we don't hear very much about in the press. They could pay a little bit more attention to us, but anyway,
we are now, though.
I know,
we are now.
You're zeroing right in. The capital budget is really the tangibles of the state. It is the roads and bridges. It's the buildings for the university system. It's the prison buildings. It's the court buildings. It's a lot of, it's the State House dome, which we can talk about. That's an ongoing saga. Things of that nature. And the operations budget, obviously, is how the state operates.
Right, so this is really the bricks and mortar.
This is the bricks and mortar.
And the things that are intended to last 10, 20 years. Not things that are annual.
Right. And so when you talk about infrastructure investments in the state, which we've talked a lot about in the recent past, how that's really important to all of us, including the business community, it's really our committee where we zero in on those sorts of investments. So tracking back to your question.
The big items.
The big items. Well, you may recall when I was here the last biennium, the big item, the thing that really sucked up all the dollars in the capital budget, or a lot of them, was the women's prison. That was about $38 million out of the, say, $125 million. And that was about a third of the capital budget. So there are a lot of things that sort of had to get left on the table.
But that also made it into this budget, right? Was that?
So yeah, that was actually a bone of contention because we really pushed the last time to make sure that the $38 million was a solid number, and the way these things always seem to go, it wasn't an adequate amount of money. That caused a lot of consternation on the committee.
How much more was it?
It was $12.6 million is what they came in. That's what the request was, and we pushed some more on that building. It's actually it was interesting. I mean, it's interesting on so many levels, but the thing is, the way they did the estimates. Originally, they had set up and it is at the Concord State Prison. It adjoins the men's prison in Concord. They had figured out a way of doing it more in pods, and the idea is that if I mean, there's so many theories on how you reduce recidivism for prisons, and so if you set it up in this certain way, they thought that the recidivism would decrease. Well, it's a more expensive way of doing it, and so now what they need to do is they need to pull it back in, do a more monolithic type structure.
So even with the $12 million, we can't get the...
We can't get the full-blown, right.
Is that good money spent if the recidivism rate could have been cut?
Funny, I asked the same question, I think at this point they just decided that they had to rein it back in. I mean, frankly, the other thing is, we were talking about the difference between the capital budget and the operations budget. If you have a more sprawling campus, you need more administrative folks, which increases the operations. So,
Well, I got to interrupt you here because we're out of time, but we're